Welcome back to the news at 10. The annual emissions of carbon dioxide and other gases must drop 40 to 70% by 2050 to keep the global temperature rise below -2 degrees Celsius. The Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, IPCC, announced in a report released in Berlin on Sunday. The Nigerian government has been advised to empower the department in charge of climate change in order to meet the challenges rising temperature presents. Speaking on our Saturday morning program, Sunrise, experts say it's time Nigeria started looking at its survival strategies.
The report clearly stated that there is now a road to low carbon economy. There is now a road to renewable energy, which means less of coal, less of fossil oil, which means our oil. 80% or 90% of our revenue comes from oil. We are going to be affected by oil, by this thing. And if you look at it, the Americans, the Europeans, they are now talking about renewable energy.
Very much so.
In the last few weeks, you will see a lot of people coming to Nigeria. They are talking about renewable energy. And we don't understand that the message they are passing to us is clear. We don't need your oil. America has come up with shale. Let us diversify. What needs to be done is that we need to move to where the people, local government. For instance, there is a need for us to incorporate the issue of climate change into our development plans, both in the local government, in the state, and in national. Because whether we like it or not, these are situations that are striking us in the face. And we also need to have what we call a climate resilient programs, which will also help us. So there is a need for education, there is a need for creating awareness, there is a need for investing in people, and people also must be disciplined.
There is a very strong initiative, and one of the recommendations from the panel is that we should go very, very rapidly, very aggressively into forest protection, particularly the tropical rainforest with its multi-layered canopy, which is the lungs of the earth, which the Almighty God, our wonderful Creator, has given us out of His benevolence, knowing that we require oxygen so desperately. It is quite a very important resource. We can't survive without it for 10 minutes. So, so one of the first things we need to do is just take our forest protection very, very seriously. We should go back to at least 25% forest cover. Right now, we're down to about 5 or 6% forest cover.
The Easter period is one of those seasons in Nigeria when consumers increase their patronage of various commodities at the markets. Not only that, people also commute across the country to spend quality time with families and close friends. Our next report shows how these activities are carried out across the country.
In Lagos, the retail market is getting extra supplies to meet up with increasing demand. Even at that, consumers still complain about not getting good bargains.
The pepper that we have bought 50 naira before, they are selling it 100 naira now, and including meat. All those things, it's increase because of the Easter now.
The ever-busy Lagos traffic is light, but the motor parks are full as more people travel outside the metropolis to spend their precious holiday with friends and families.
This is my second park this morning. I was in the ITC park before 7 o'clock this morning, and there were a lot of crowd there, and a lot of their car at a point. There's no more bus.
In Plateau State, north-central Nigeria, the Easter euphoria has necessitated a beef-up of security. Tough lessons have been learned from recent unfortunate events. And in Minna, the Niger State capital, there is also an overwhelming turnout of passengers. Surprisingly, the fares remain unchanged.
The crowd here supersedes ordinary days, maybe when there's no festivity.
Has it in any way affected the pricing?
No, not at all.
And back in the southwest, in Abeokuta, the Ogun State capital, and Ado-Ekiti, Ekiti State capital, it's just another regular day at the motor park.
there is no passenger at all. So maybe tomorrow or next tomorrow, maybe passenger will come out. We don't know.
In the southeast, Anambra State is also recording low activities.
Things are not really moving now. You can see everywhere is dry. I've been here for 1 hour. The vehicle is not filled up.
As different regions in the country recount different experiences concerning movement of people and prices of commodities in this festive period, the focus still remains on the reason for the season, as many people hope and pray for a happy holiday.
To health now, vaccine-preventable diseases contribute to childhood morbidity and mortality. Although vaccines have been described as a cost-effective health intervention that prevents ill health, disability, and death, especially amongst children, there are barriers to routine immunization in Nigeria. Despite positive steps to improving access to vaccines, weak primary health centers and other issues remain some of the hurdles to immunization coverage in the country. Our focus on health tonight is on the importance of immunization and the need for routine immunization to be strengthened.
Vaccines, one of the time-tested medical breakthroughs in human history. Vaccines, which are used to confer immunity on the human body, have recorded global achievements in the area of smallpox eradication, significant reduction in the global incidence of polio, and by estimates from the World Health Organization, vaccines avert 2 to 3 million deaths each year. Despite these proven efficacy, the fear of side effects of vaccines, especially rumors on the safety of polio vaccine, still cast an unwanted shadow on immunization in Nigeria, taking away not just from the routine immunization program, but also from the supplemental immunization efforts.
One of the major concerns they have is that this vaccine is given to these children to make them less potent. That is to reduce their infertility later in life, which is not true. And we do tell them that it's better for them to immunize their child than allowing the disease condition to affect the child. Immunization has no overdose, and it is safer, it is cheap, and it is free. A child that misses any of these antigens, any of these vaccines, has the opportunity of infecting 250 children, most especially the poliomyelitis.
For the records, once a child is born, it's expected that the child is placed on the new routine immunization schedule in Nigeria. BCG, OPV0, and hepatitis B0 are taken at birth. OPV1 pentavalent 1, PCV1 at 6 weeks, with the second version of the OPV pentavalent and PCV taken at 10 weeks. By 14 weeks, the child must take OPV3, pentavalent 3, PCV3, and at 9 months, the child takes measles and yellow fever vaccines to complete the routine immunization.
The pentavalent is 5 vaccines in one. The 5 vaccines are HIP. The HIP is the Haemophilus influenza type B, which protects the child against Haemophilus influenza type B virus, which is commoner in children below 5 years. And DPT, which is the DPT protects the children against diphtheria, whooping cough, and tetanus. And we have hepatitis B.
Although the preliminary reports from the Nigeria Demographic Health Survey 2013 indicates that 25% of children 12 to 23 months are fully vaccinated, a 13% point increase since 2003, Nigeria is still far below the Millennium Development Goals target of more than 90% by 2015. Breaking it down further, the proportion of children fully vaccinated is lower in rural areas than in urban centers. Epileptic supply of vaccines and access to health centers are some of the challenges, especially moving from the hinterland to town, where some of the primary health centers are located.
The road network is very bad, so they find it difficult to come down. But those that stay in town, it's okay, they can easily come.
However, Ifoma Okonkwo is one of the mothers who knows the benefits of immunization.
If the child is given the vaccine, it will help her. If somebody that has such infection is carrying her, she will not contact it. But if she not take the vaccine, as they are carrying her, people want to carry her. She's a newborn baby. Everybody want to touch her. As they are touching her, she will contact the disease.
This is your first child?
No, this is the second one.
Okay, so have you immunized the first one?
Yes, I have. I did all the immunization.
The enthusiasm expressed by mothers such as Ifoma to immunize their children must be sustained by the government through the strengthening of the primary health centers and other related infrastructure, addressing occasional shortage of vaccines and continued health education on the benefits of immunization. Yomi Otaigbe reporting for Channels Television News.
It is time for business news. Here's Adesha Wajda.
Well, thank you, Olumide. The chief executive of the Nigerian Stock Exchange, Oscar Onyema, says the $1 trillion market capitalization target of his management is achievable. Mr. Onyema explains that the various partnerships with government and more companies that will be listed are some of the strategies that will help achieve the goal. He, however, assured that the target will involve the various instruments of the market.
$1 trillion is a target that is inevitable. It's a target we're going to meet, be it next year or in 10 years' time. As we partner with various agencies and various ministries and the government itself to create an enabling environment for investments, you will see a lot more investments coming in, and a number of the companies that are ready to come to the market will come to the market. Now, the $1 trillion is not only for equity capitalization. So it covers debt, ETFs, and derivatives.
Last week, the National Assembly passed the 2014 budget of 4.7 trillion naira, increasing it by 52.2 billion naira. Though this is coming 4 months after the budget was presented to the National Assembly, many would say better late than never. Our business correspondent, Chimeze Obiwagu, takes a look at the passage of the 2014 budget and its implication for the economy.
This 2014 budget, as we have passed.
Late passage of the budget seems to be a recurring feature in Nigeria's budgeting system. This time, the passage of the 2014 budget came 4 months after its presentation to the National Assembly.
You can't be passing budget after the end of the first quarter of the year it belongs to. I expect you're going to make any significant impact on the economy with that kind of budget.
The approved budget include 408.6 billion naira for statutory transfer and 712 billion naira for debt servicing. Others include recurrent expenditure of 2.4 trillion naira and capital expenditure of 1.1 trillion naira, making it a total of 4.695 trillion naira, up from 4.642 trillion naira presented by the executive.
I, for one, I don't believe budgeting. It's just a guide, okay? So if we know this is how much we're going to spend, it is in the actual implementation. So at the end of maybe 3 months, 6 months, we come back again and say, okay, this is what we budgeted. How have we gone? What are the projects that have been implemented? What are the impacts on the general economy and the citizenry?
The budget is predicated on a GDP growth rate of 6.75%, But with Nigeria's nominal GDP now at $509.9 billion, which is about 80.22 trillion naira, the growth rate, according to most economists, is expected to slow, and so meeting this target may be a challenge.
If your output does not increase significantly, there's no way you can still maintain the projected growth rate of 6%. Of course, that's the challenge in the rebasing. So I think the Christmas is over. It's now time for everybody to start working.
Tagged Budget of Fiscal Consolidation and Inclusive Growth. The budget was also based on a benchmark of $77 per barrel of crude and oil production of 2.39 million barrels per day, inflation rate of 9.5%, and an exchange rate of 160 naira to $1.
Those things that are supposed to drive the whole economy are still lacking. As I speak to you, industries are closing up. So where are those jobs going to come from? Creating jobs is not for government alone. I agree, government will have to create the enabling environment, assured. But we as Nigerians, private sector, we should take it as our responsibility to make sure that we do what we are supposed to do and begin to create those little jobs that can begin to multiply and drive the economy.
Well, that's business news this hour. The news at 10 continues in a moment.
Next on the news at 10, South Korean officials say a rescue operation at the capsized ferry may take 2 months. Do stay with us.